Hey everybody, this is Aya of the Dawn. Thank you so much for joining my channel and watching. How are you guys doing today? As you can see by the title, we're going to be talking about Chiron in the ninth house, with Sagittarius and Jupiter and all that. Okay, this is my placement, except it's Chiron in the ninth house and it's Taurus for me. So, Chiron. And I started doing this video last night after I made my other 4 videos. I was tired because I really wanted to hurry up and get to the twin flame readings. I've been doing this series because I got a download to like an intuition, and then one of you in the comments asked me to, can you do a series about Chiron? And I was like, confirmation, synchronicity. So Chiron in the ninth house, your higher self, higher education in this world versus what you trust, what you don't trust. So you are probably a master researcher because you don't trust shit. You don't trust anything that you hear, anything that you read, because you've been duped before in your childhood. There might have been religious abuse as far as being exposed to different things without any explanation. Like for me, when I was a child, my mom's not super religious or anything like that. She believes in a higher power, she believes in spirituality, but she didn't necessarily take us to church religiously until she met my stepfather. And when we moved to St. Louis, I'm an Army brat, by the way. We moved to, which is very Chiron in the ninth house, moving around, and also my Neptune's in the 4th house. So yeah, we moved to St. Louis. We were involved in very charismatic type of churches where they were casting out demons, and that shit scared me to death. It made me afraid to go inside myself. It made me feel like I couldn't trust what was going to happen inside of me. And that's still a place of distortion for me. My anytime I do my readings, a lot of times they say, okay, you're getting a message from the spirit realm, but you're not reading it correctly. You're not getting the message isn't hitting you correctly. You're not interpreting it correctly. It's like always my interpretation of what spirit is telling me to do. I have to second guess it. I have to check it twice. I am a reader, but I oftentimes need to go to readers to help me in my own life because of my distrust of my own higher mind, my higher self. And so how do you heal that? I haven't quite figured it out all the way, but a lot of times for me personally, I can get stuck in limbo and not make any moves because I'm trying to make sure I got the right message, I'm hearing things right. And another thing that happens is that sometimes I'll take the messages too literal and they're impressions. I'll take my true self out of it and I'll act as if I am on a higher spiritual level than I actually am, because I'm trying to escape something. Sometimes I can use spirituality as an escape instead of having an intimate connection and relationship to all of life. And so I have to watch out for that, because I feel like that was what it was like in my childhood for me. In church, there was a lot of acting going on all around me. And then when I saw that people weren't really actually living what they were preaching and telling me to do, it just really kind of like made me feel like, why the fuck am I doing any of this? Why the fuck are we here? This shit is fake. Like, it was just like, but still, I still felt a heart connection. I always felt like a heart connection to God and a peacefulness when I went to, not all churches, but certain places. I like to go to silent meditation retreats. And Chiron in the ninth house, you can be in search of the next guru like your whole life. But the real is that you're always at home inside of your mind, inside of your body. You can trust your higher self. You can trust your higher mind. You can trust your mind to assimilate the education that you get and find the truth in it. And oftentimes, like I've read the whole Bible when I was like in 12th grade because I got tired of just taking other people's word for everything. So that's when I started really researching it on my own. And for me, what I found in the Bible is that it's a message about God's love, and that Jesus never forced anything on anyone in the Bible. And he always let people choose which way they wanted to go. You know, it was like he was doing his thing and people end up following him. Whether you follow him or not, he was fine. He was just being himself on earth. That's the messages that I got from the Bible, from reading it on my own. And for Chiron in the ninth house, it's really important that you do your own research, that you get the message for yourself, or you can end up going down a rabbit hole, just blindly following someone because you have been taught not to trust yourself, not to trust your mind, not to trust your instincts, not to trust your impressions that you get. You understand? Sometimes when planets fall in my own house and I'm talking about them, it's a integration between what I've learned and what I haven't learned yet, you know. And so I speak to you as someone that is still working that out. I haven't worked it out completely, but I feel like I can say I've worked it out halfway. Yeah, 45%. My spirit is like 45 to 50%. 45 to 50. Yeah, so in my birth chart, I have Chiron in the ninth house, and then I have all my other planets, most of my planets in the second house, between the 12th and the fourth house. And so I have a handle. And I see a lot of spiritual healers, a lot of spiritual teachers with that placement. Definitely with Chiron being in the ninth house, and then it being in Taurus, my issue is also trusting myself as a healer, as a teacher. You know, it's been a journey for me. It's like I always feel like, who am I to say anything, to talk about anything, to share anything? But the more I open up and I share the wisdom that's been channeled through me ever since I was a little kid, and also the things I've learned through my own initiation and being open to, I've been really open to my healing process. I've been really open to getting in there and going deep. And as I meet people that need my help, I'm like, oh, I do know a lot. It's like Chiron in a ninth house, you don't never feel like you know enough. You don't feel like you're educated enough. You don't ever feel like you're a master, but you might be. You know, it's an insecurity there always, and you might hold back. You might, because I can be like a hermit. Like and my family, my brothers be like, sometimes I'll be like, I feel like other people, you guys don't listen to me the way I listen to you. It really hurts my feelings. And I feel like some people run away from me and my emotions. And I was asking my brother, who's a Cancer, and he's like super deep and easy to talk to. And he was like, Asia, it's kind of like a nun telling you that that her feelings are hurt. Nobody wants to hurt the feelings of a nun. You know, like that's kind of how have been living my life for a really long time, just really clothed and covered and with my head down, studying and healing myself intensely, going through deep purifications and making mistakes and trying to learn from them, turning my triggers into healing, taking responsibility for my feelings and not necessarily blaming everybody for my feelings, but also knowing where I end and other people begin and what I can take responsibility for and what I can't. It's like being alive is really intricate. But anyway, I say all that to say that as I come out the closet and come out of my hole, I see that I can help a lot of people. I have been helping a lot of people. I know a lot more than I thought I did. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and maybe there's never an end. There's new beginnings as well. It's like I'm at a new stage of learning. I'm at an end of a learning cycle where I can teach people the things I've learned. And now I'm at a new learning cycle where I'm in the unknown at the same time. It's like I know what I know, and I'm in the unknown again, like a baby, putting one foot in front of the other in the next stage of my development, whatever that may bring. Apparently, you guys will see because I'm going to document it. Apparently. And so, yes, Chiron in the ninth house, you're on the right path. You always are. You study everything before you make a move anyway. You don't like to say things before you really know for sure within yourself. You're super studious, even if you don't have a formal education. You know about a lot, and people can learn a lot from you. And when you're ready to share, or and sometimes, you know what, people are funny because people are competitive, and you're not competitive, most likely because you're comfortable with saying I don't know, but a lot of people aren't. And so you'll be talking because you have a lot of wisdom and knowledge, but you don't realize that other people around you, it's like, wow, you know a lot. But instead, people will be competitive with you and be like, oh yeah, I know that too, girl. And then you'll have people in your life that are pretending to be on the same level as you. But then when you look at their life, because you walk the walk and you talk the talk, Chiron in the ninth house, you don't like a hypocrite, and you don't want to be a hypocrite. You don't want to be one of those preachers that hurt your feelings when you were younger. You don't want to be like that. You spent your whole life, a lot of your time studying just so that you can not be like one of those hypocritical preachers that really took away your innocence when it comes to learning and religion and what you can trust, who can you trust. It's a big thing with trust for you. Who out there can you really trust? Who out there? And then, like, as I've been learning, like when I first went down the rabbit hole, I was pretty skeptical of everything. When I went down the rabbit hole of the New Age community, because I'm not part of any community. I'm not a Buddhist, I'm not a Hinduist, I'm not Jainism, I'm not a Christian, I'm not Protestant, I'm not Catholic, I'm not New Age, I'm not Satanism, I'm not paganism. I like to study I love mythology because it tells me the archetypes, the programs that run through the universe. Like, I like knowing those things. I feel like that's more true to nature, and whatever religion you want to call that, I'm sure somebody has put a name to that. But I also like to study the science of the body and how to heal trauma. I feel like I like to study things that are useful, that I can put my hands to, things that I can see, like a scientist. But also I don't remove spirit from science. I feel like spirit and science are one and the same. You can't have the chemicals that run through you and the DNA that run through you. The cells are yourself, you know. And so, and the self is a part of God consciousness. And we're all like little drops of water in the ocean. It's all the ocean. We're all God. It's all God, the goddess. As I clutch my chin like a thinker, I am a thinker. And so, yes, I study all of it, and then I see the whole thing. I look at the whole, and then I feel like I know where I'm at. I know my environment. I know what's going on. I can read life. I know what I'm looking at when I look at other people. I study people's names. I study numerology. I study astrology. I study all of it. Geometric shapes, healing the left and right side of the brain. Not that I have mastered all of it, because I'll be learning for the rest of my life. And that's also a theme of Chiron in the ninth house. You are a life student, because that's just, if you really look at how much there is to know, there's so much to know. It's like, it's constricting, it's contracting, it's movement, it's exciting. And I'll travel just to learn new things. And that's also a theme of Sagittarius. And Chiron in the ninth house will develop their own philosophy. And I am developing my own philosophy. When I hear myself speak to people and I see their reactions, and that some of the things I say and think people haven't thought of before or haven't. And I'm like, oh, and then some people will be like, you should write a book, blah, 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 blah. So, it's like a work in progress when it comes to trusting life, the mind, who you are in this world. And you'll get there. It's a scary journey at first, but then it becomes like a puzzle. And when you start putting together the pieces, you feel like you've won the game. And so I feel like Chiron in the ninth house kind of looks at life like that. Like, after a while, after you get over the mistrust and your broken heart from people like not really living what they preach, but faking and playing with your mind and your emotions and stuff, then and after you do some research and get some knowledge under your belt and you start actually seeing how it all works out, the fun starts. And then you can start being like an archaeologist of life, just collecting, looking, seeing, peering in deep, sharing your observations and your findings with other human beings, so you can help out in society. And that is that is what I do. That's what I do in my time. That's what I love to do. Your biggest wound, will become the biggest healer. Because where you have Chiron, there's other people that don't have a reason to do that deep research. Like, I needed to do all this deep research so that I can trust life, so I can feel safe here, so that I can feel grounded, so that I can go to sleep at night. I mean, I promise you, there will be times I couldn't sleep at night because I'll be so afraid of demons and somebody in the spirit world coming to get me. I had such a distrust in it because of the experiences that I had as a child, the things that I saw, it was like gruesome sometimes, and I'd be like, what the is going on? And I'm like, why didn't anybody talk to me? Why is this normal? Like, what the, ugh. And now I look at people who are possessed with demons. That could be somebody who's has trauma. I look at schizophrenia in a different way than other people look at it. I look at it, I look at everything like it can be healed. Like, anybody that has any type of trauma needs soul retrieval. And that's what they were attempting to do at church. And I don't know if it ever worked, but you definitely, everybody in the community needs to be aware of those types of spiritual sciences, you know, so that we could all put our energy towards the person and envelop that person in safety so that their soul can come back to them. It's not necessarily casting out a demon, but energy will dissolve or leave and go back to into a light, or you can place it into a safe place. But yeah, anyway, anything else? And then on a more mundane aspect about traveling, like Chiron in the ninth house can feel like, man, I wish I can go here. I wish I can go there. I wish I could do that. I wish I could go to school. Because I'm like, one of my dreams is to go to Africa and go to school for fashion design or something like that, you know, because that's one of my lost educational dreams. As a child, one of my disenfranchised parts of myself that I feel like I missed out on, um, for some reasons that were traumatizing to me. I'm not going to get into that right now, but yes, I we have dreams. Chiron in ninth house always has dreams of, so we can be like couch travelers, like always collecting pictures of places we want to go. Um, I say save up to go. Go. That's why I moved to St. Thomas last year, because I'm like, I'm getting out of this wishing. I'm just going to go. I may not ever have enough money. I may not it may not ever be the right time. I'm just going to do what I want to do now. And when I did that, it really broke me in a way that I ended up having more strength than I thought I did. I got through a lot of things. I was in 2 hurricanes, and I was around totally new people. I lived on the freaking ocean. I lived on an island, for heaven's sakes, and it was really hard terrain. I worked really hard while I was there, and I had the time of my life, and I got to know me. It helped me get to know me in another way. I wasn't dreaming about doing something. I was actually doing it, and I got to see what it was actually like to do it. And I will say, when you do that, it's a lot harder than it seems like it would be in your head. I had to deal with the loneliness of being isolated. I didn't know anybody, but I was lucky because I did a work away and I got to be around people most of the day, downtown St. Thomas. But it's still like a intimacy thing when you don't have years under your belt with people. So when I went home, I didn't have anybody to really hang out with, or call, because I just didn't feel comfortable calling people. But after the hurricanes, I got to know everybody, because my apartment, the house I was staying in, it was like a double house, had one of the only generators in the neighborhood. So everybody would come over for potlucks. And so that was an interesting dichotomy. We were having like a really great time after the hurricanes. Um, yeah, what else? Oh, and I traveled on boat to get to Puerto Rico, because I realized that, I was going to run out of money, and I didn't want to be stuck on the island with no money and no job. And I was working online, to make my money. So I needed some Wi-Fi, boo. And so I went to a place that was Wi-Fi, and I thought I was going to get to stay in Puerto Rico for like a year. But another hurricane hit. So I ended up having to come back. But I don't regret a damn fucking thing. I did not want to come home. If I had more energy, I would have took a boat or hopped on a plane and went to South America. Like, I just did not want to come home ever again. I was like, my plan was to live in St. Thomas and then travel the world from there, because I really wanted to move to Bali. And I'm glad I didn't do that. I'm glad I didn't just up and move to Bali. I don't know if I would have, I don't know if I could have handled it. If I couldn't, if my mentality, and I was super lonely in St. Thomas, I would have been really lonely in Bali. So yeah, that's what I learned. I learned visit places first, and that's what I was planning on doing from St. Thomas though. And when it got to the hottest time of the season, to try different places. Like this summer, I wanted to go to Norway, not because I want to live there, but one of the things on my bucket list is to go see the Norwegian fjords. And we'll see. I'm in the middle of getting my own office for my spiritual practice. And I'm not going to say what I can't do, but I will say that that's what's more pertinent right now than going to Norway. But I can always get a ticket and go next year or another time. But anyway, I'm rambling. I'm talking about the things I like to talk about, the things that make me happy. And it's interesting that where Chiron is, it's often the things that really do make you happy if you can get past the wound, the hurt, the longing, you know, the mistrust, the brokenness. And Chiron in the ninth house isn't the worst placement for Chiron. I feel like it's kind of exalted in the ninth house, because I'm as I look at the other placements, they have way tougher issues, you know, way tougher issues to conquer. So I'll talk to you guys later. Like, subscribe, comment. Peace. Have a great day.